This is Action Sports Jack's First and 10 Training Camp, sponsored by Farah and Farah, the exclusive personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Well, a Debbie Downer kind of day. Hurricane Debbie making landfall and foiling Monday plans for many, including Jags fans. The open practice was closed to fans because of the weather for a second straight day. The team getting good use of the Miller Electric Center. The indoor portion, you kind of wonder if the practice loses some intensity because of the move indoors. Didn't seem to be the case today. We actually got a little scuffle out there on this Monday. Hey, everybody, welcome to First and 10 Training Camp. I'm Brent Martineau. It's a game week in Jacksonville. The Jags host the Chiefs on CES 47 on Saturday evening. The week started with some good news from Doug Peterson on the injury front. Eric Armstead, a big free agent pickup this offseason, is almost ready to return. He had meniscus surgery in the offseason and started camp on the physically unable to perform list. Peterson thinks the defensive lineman will return to practice next week and has no doubt he will be ready by week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. Injuries mounted over the last week, but more good news for right now. And for right tackle Anton Harrison, he was in concussion protocol the last few days, but after the day off tomorrow, he could be back at practice on Wednesday. Ventrell Miller has really shined when healthy, but he's battled injuries for 2 years now since joining the Jags. A former Gator nursing a hand injury, but is expected to play on Saturday evening. And then the bad side of the injuries, Deshaun Dixon, Jags pass rusher, left practice with a knee injury, and it did not look good. Action Sports Jack Stuart Weber was a fan of the indoor practice. Didn't get the hair wet. He has more from Monday's practice.
Monday's practice certainly had a different feel to it. Not only were they practicing indoors for the first time this training camp, thanks to, well, all the weather outside, but there was a little chippiness happened. You could tell that these players are getting ready for that first preseason game this upcoming Saturday. First chance to go ahead and hit somebody else. The big brouhaha, if you want to call it that, happened when Buster Brown knocked down Gabe Davis after a catch. Christian Kirk comes flying in to defend his fellow wide receiver. Everything's fine. Everybody shook hands and we're all good to go afterwards, but you could tell everybody's getting excited for some football.
The guys are getting a little chippy out there, and it's just football. You know, it is what it is. I'm fine. It's awesome to be in this room. Love all the guys in there. And then with Trevor, yeah, we're continue to work, continue to keep trying to build that chemistry each and every day. You know, just keep going and keep trying to get on the same page.
Speaking of that preseason game, it should be no surprise that you won't see the starters play a whole lot. Guys like Gabe Davis, Trevor Lawrence, the rest of the first team will play limited snaps. That's how Doug Peterson has been doing it for years now.
From there, it's we want to look at everybody, and so you have 3 quarters, maybe 3.5, to really get a good look at a lot of the young players and see what you have there.
Tuesday will be a much-needed break for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This has been a stretch of some of the most physical practices of this training camp, with Friday and Saturday both being those hard-hitting days for the Jaguars at the Miller Electric Center. From training camp, Stuart Weber, Action Sports Jacks.
So the Super Bowl champs kick off the preseason with the Jags Saturday. Always fun when Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, and head coach Andy Reid come to town. Reid is Doug Peterson's mentor. He played for Reid and coached under him. Probably nobody Doug respects more in the NFL today.
The success that Andy's had in his career, go back to Philly, Kansas City, obviously, it's he understands the process, meaning it's you're not a finished product in September. You know, he builds through the entire season and becomes a finished product at the end of the year.
And Doug has done a good job of that in his career until last year when the Jags collapsed down the stretch. And despite that, Doug Peterson joins Tom Coughlin as the only coaches in Jags team history with a winning record. Peterson has a lot of runway left before we crown him in Coughlin's category, but he could be on the way. He has a chance in Jacksonville to build a legacy that started in Philly with the Super Bowl. We discussed it today on the Brenton Austin Show.
I think with what I see from Doug Peterson and Andy Reid, and once again, I mean, Peterson was the offensive coordinator when I was in Kansas City, so I didn't get to share a room with him or anything, or really see his coaching philosophy, because obviously it was more of Andy Reid's team than it was Doug Peterson's team. But there's a few similarities that I can definitely see. Number one, the demeanor where they're not afraid to chew you out. They'll definitely do that, but it's a little more, and I don't want to say, player coaching friendly, because then it's almost like, oh, it's like the substitute teacher comes to school and like, it's a free day in class, and like I don't want it to come across as that, but it is a little more laid back in terms of, you almost embrace going to the meeting rooms, you almost embrace going on the field, because it's not high strung, it's more workmanlike, if you will. I think that's a good way to put it. And also, I think, too, both those gentlemen, and Andy Reid and Doug Peterson, are X's and O's geniuses.
High compliment from Austin Lane. Not for substitute teachers, I guess. Here's the lineup on Tuesday. We've got Miller and Moulton starting in the morning. Then our show, of course, 10 to 1. We'll be in studio most of this week, by the way. Young and Norvell show after that. We have After the Game and some other shows in between. So full lineup on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. You can find it on actionnewsjacks.com and, of course, the Action News Jacks app as well. Think about players that are motivated to have a big 2024. There are a lot of them, but a couple from the 2023 draft class come to mind. We catch up with one of those guys next. And Tony Vaselli had practice today after spending the weekend in Canton, Ohio at the Hall of Fame festivities.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
You're watching Action Sports Jacks, 1st and 10, Training Camp. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
He's gonna have a fun time no matter what. I mean, I think that's just his personality. He's great in the locker room, great with the guys. He's, sometimes he drives us crazy with some of the stuff he does or says, but when he gets in there, it's business, and he's a competitor, and he loves to compete.
It'll make you laugh a little bit. Doug Peterson talking Mac Jones. Got to feel good for Mac. He has embraced being back home and looks relaxed and rejuvenated. Maybe too much fun for that New England Patriots organization. Who knows? Welcome back to 1st and 10 Training Camp. I'm Brent Martineau. Mac and C.J. Beathard likely to see some action on Saturday. Trevor Lawrence will get a couple of series, it sounds like, as well. One of the best touchdowns from last season from Trevor was to then rookie Brenton Strange. It was a fourth progression type of deal, and he found the tight end against the Colts. Jags fans would like to see Strange a bigger part of the offense here this fall. Action Sports Jack's Stuart Weber caught up with him today.
It's felt a lot better this year than last year. I would say I come in and I know what to expect. I know what we're going to do as an offense, so it gives me a level of comfortability, and I come in here and I'm able to adjust and do things and know the details of everything, so that makes me very confident in everything that I'm doing, and when I'm confident, I play my best.
I know every time we've interviewed you, we kind of ask about that relationship with Evan, just because you have one of the best tight ends in the NFL in your room as a mentor, as a leader. Can you cite like any specific thing that you've picked up off of him over this time together, working together the last year and a half now?
Yeah, most definitely. I take a lot of pieces from Evan's game because, like you said, he's one of the best in the NFL. Breaking NFL records last year, up there with the greats. So I like it a lot to come in every single day and be able to learn from a player like him. And what I like the most to just watching his game is how he breaks down in his routes and his movements. So that's something that me and him have started to do after practice, and just continue to talk about in meeting rooms and just continue to better our craft.
What have the conversations been like between the coaching staff and you as far as elevating your game and your role kind of on this team as you head into year 2?
Yeah, I mean, they drafted me at a high spot, so I know that they have high expectations for me, but I also have high expectations for myself, and I don't think anybody has higher expectations for me but me. So I hold myself to a very high standard, and whatever standard that they could hold me to, there's no chance that it's not higher than mine. Yeah.
Last one for you. It's game week. I mean, you guys have a game coming up here on Saturday. It's kind of time to flip a little switch, right? These last 2 weeks, it changes versus this next week of getting ready for a Saturday preseason game.
Yeah, it's nice to go out there and be in front of the fans and Everbank and stuff like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy being able to do things like that. It makes it fun, and for me, it's nice to go out there and not have to practice against your teammates again. You get to hit somebody in another jersey. You get to play against and compete against somebody in another jersey. So that's the most fun part for me.
Well, just my opinion here. I think Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby are going to have nice seasons for the Jags. If you didn't think the Gators' schedule was difficult coming into the season, it was confirmed today. That story coming up next. And how about Andre Cisco? A trifecta today in practice. He picked off all 3 Jags quarterbacks. The biggest individual day yet by any player this training camp. The safety is poised also for a big season.
You're watching Action Sports Jacks, 1st and 10, Training Camp. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
All right, look at the preseason college football poll, and no surprise here to see the top teams, Georgia and Ohio State, number 1 and 2. And there you see Oregon, obviously Lanning doing a good job there at Oregon. Texas and Alabama round out the top 5, and then see if you can find your favorite team in the top 25. You will not find the Florida Gators, of course. You will find the Seminoles at number 10. All that poll did was confirm that the Florida Gators have a tough schedule, which anyone with a pulse has been saying for months. Florida will play the number 1, number 4, number 6, number 10, number 12, number 15, number 19, and number 20 teams in that poll. Now, who knows if those are really the top 20 teams in the country, but the Gators play 8 of them. That's crazy. And we're not even sure how good the Gators are. That's why everybody's talking about that schedule. Shaq Quarterman, former Oakleaf star and Jacksonville Jaguar, signs with the Philadelphia Eagles. And keep an eye on a Brandon Ayuk trade. Seems like there's getting some heat on that, maybe to the Browns or the Patriots. Maybe it happens this week. Jags off day tomorrow, but we're still on with 1st and 10 on Tuesday night. Hope you can join us.